GRTS has been at the forefront of the advocacy campaign to mobilize Gambians to grow what they eat and eat what they grow. The national broadcaster, Jawara noted, has gone beyond advocacy and is now working with communities to cultivate farms. This hands-on approach, according to Jawara, is a way of showing solidarity with the president as proceeds from the farm will be donated to him. He finally urged Gambians to work hard to ensure that the country produces more food to sustain itself and minimize dependence on imported food. GRTS.
In Jalambam village in the Combo Central District, scores of cabinet ministers Saturday descended on their 7-hectare maize farm to rid it of weed. Farmer Akanyi was there and he tells us more.
Cabinet represented by a sizable number of ministers returned to their Jalamba farm as part of their efforts to sustain the country's food self-sufficiency drive. The initiative is championed by President Jammeh, who continues to serve as a shining example and the torchbearer of the Vision 2020. He has always been advocating for the operation back to the land since the advent of the Second Republic. This 3.7-hectare maize field is the first cabinet farm in Jalamba village, West Coast region. The farm was given to the cabinet ministers 3 years back. The ministers since then have been cultivating the land thanks to the support and the help of the community of Jalamba. The ministers took on the exercise at impressive speed, accompanied by the sound of drums.
Almost all ministers are here today. The turnout has been very impressive, and they are all participating and doing active work. As you know, we are members of a government that is calling on people to go back to the land. And one of the best ways to demonstrate that call is to participate effectively ourselves. His Excellency the President, we all know, involves in active farming, and therefore his ministers are also expected to follow suit and do the same thing, to show to the people that you don't only have to depend on office work to live, and that farming is a noble activity, it's a noble venture, and it is one of the best ways to reduce poverty in this country.
Minister Colley went on to call on the youth folk to actively involve themselves in agriculture. According to him, farming is a lucrative business and helps to make a country self-sufficient. For her part, Honorable Fat Lamin Fai, the Minister for Basic and Secondary Education, the school feeding program under the sponsorship of the WFP is taxing the Gambia to supply their schools with the food they eat. According to her, the market has been set by the WFP. It's up to the Gambian farmers to commercialize their farming to a better standard.
So I want to call on all the youths to go out and farm, youth groups and women, because they are the only ones that can help us attain this objective of having our own homegrown school feeding program. And let me emphasize that it has happened in other countries and it worked. Gambia is amongst another set of countries that have been targeted to do it because they know it's doable. So I'm calling on everybody because I don't want us to be the first country where it's implemented and it failed. It shouldn't fail. And we are going to buy any amount of rice that is grown in this country.
She concluded by thanking the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Sir Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, for the support he renders to farmers. The Agriculture Minister Solomon Owens gives an in-depth analysis for this year's rainfall compared to the previous years, whilst concluding that this year's rains will not be a failure. He maintains that he and his ministry are with high hopes that this year's rains will be a success for the farmers.
It's not only to complement the efforts or go by the directives of the President, but it's helping realize the vision of the President with regards to food security. Because if everybody goes back to the land, no matter how small a piece of land you cultivate, it's going to contribute immensely to food security in the country.
When it comes to the general upkeep of crops in this year's farming season, Agriculture Minister Owens has some very important advice.
The big advice and the only advice is that help try and cope with the weeds. Because if the weeds suppress the crop, one, yields are very low, two, the farmer eventually abandons the field because he cannot cope with the weeds.
The Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service and the Minister for Presidential Affairs, Modu Sabali, thanked the Gambian leader for providing the enabling environment for such initiatives as the one the cabinet is embarking on. He went on to call all Gambians to eat from what they grow, irrespective of their positions in the government, citing the president as a role model for all Gambians.
Taking up from that, I would want to extend this, in my capacity as head of the civil service, to the rest of the civil service, that it's about time we cut down on the meetings and consultations and get to work. Not only in the farms, but even in the offices. We need to be more pragmatic, we need to be more proactive, taking our key from His Excellency the President, who, as I said before, always leads by example, not just by giving instructions to people.
After a day's work on the farm, officials are hopeful of a successful farming season and a greater reward on this very impressive farm. Farmer Akani, Grts News.
Propelling efforts to revitalize judicial competence and efficiency in her first nationwide tour of jurisdictions after assuming office, Chief Justice Mabel Ajiman has told tribunals across the country that they are an integral instrument to the justice landscape and as such must constantly endeavor to adjudicate with confidence and perception, putting all parties coming to them on one pedestal. Ibrahim Ajata reports chiefs could be willing increased judicial authority under the Question initiative seeking to energize justice delivery.
Assessment of the judicial scene looking to raise the standard of justice delivery, Chief Justice Mabel Ajiman visited court facilities in the Lower River region following a brief stop in Bansang. Meeting district tribunals in the region for the first time, the new Chief Justice hailed chiefs for the vital efforts shaping justice administration in their communities.
It occurred to me that in order to do any meaningful work, I had to have an idea of justice delivery in the Gambia and see all the courts and tribunals in the Gambia, to see the structures, but also to interact with the persons who work in justice delivery.
Getting to meet tribunals to address issues impeding their functions is really important for judicial officials as they advance what the Chief Justice likes to call a family meeting intended to need boundaries and chart practical solutions to problems affecting courts and local arbitrators. And so, building capacity and resource allocation, raising efficacy, joins her list of priorities.
The purpose is to craft a way forward in the delivery of justice, to assess where we are at this point, recognize our successes, and decide that we will stick to them and not do anything contrary to that. We also need to look at our mistakes and weaknesses so that we can improve. And the whole point is giving access to qualitative justice for the people of the Gambia.
Provincial chiefs greatly appreciated the interlace and eagerly welcomed the judiciary's plans to initiate intensive training programs to improve their judicial and adjudicating skills. With immense jurisdiction over all matters arising in their communities, the Chief Justice sees district tribunals as a major judicial instrument.
I have been involved in judicial education for a very long time, and 2 years ago, we started a continuing judicial education institute. It has been my passion that you do not just appoint people to office to sit in judgment over others without equipping them to do so properly, justly, fairly, and in a way that will build confidence in the people who go to the courts. So judicial education is paramount, of paramount consideration to me, and I intend to do everything I can to equip every level of the judiciary.
Lower River Region Governor Lamin Dabo already perceives a bright future in local justice administration, bringing increased competence in district tribunals.
The Chief Justice has unveiled the fundamental parameters of the justice delivery system in the Gambia. This was very brief but very concise. What now beholds us is to ensure that we take our work seriously. With the coming of the new Chief Justice, I am convinced a lot of your concerns will be addressed. You have also highlighted the issue of having courthouses. These were also concerns of the Gambia government.
And here the Chief Justice underlines her key message to adjudicators, even as she rounds up her first tour of the judicial landscape across the country.
It is fundamental to justice that people who go to court leave feeling that they have been heard, and also that the adjudicator is impartial. it makes for confidence in the work